and count to 10 because it's something you must know. You can practice with your fingers, you can practice with your toes. It'll help you with your math. It'll help you.
Normal. I'm Suzanne Barnett, your host, and this show is dedicated to Stevie Daniel Mitchell. He was 20 years old. He was born in 1991 and he died in 2011. I am so pleased to introduce my guest, Eli Kersh-Oliva, who is a Safe Voices facilitator. But I also want to tell you that Eli is a talented, dedicated, conscientious, talented young man. Welcome.
Thank you.
I am so happy to interview you.
It's an honor to be here.
Okay, first of all, what is Safe Voices organization, Eli?
I started working with this group called Safe Voices about 2 or 3 years ago. It's a group of students in the area, and SAFE is an acronym which stands for Student Advisors for Education. And it's a group of kids, there's well over 100 of them now, and they're all students with different learning disabilities like dyslexia, ADD, ADHD, different processing disorders, and they've all gotten together to form a community. And their main goal, their mission, is to go and spread awareness about how to succeed and some of the challenges that they face in the education system, having a learning disability.
Did you ever face a challenge?
I did. When I was very young, when I was 6 years old I was diagnosed with dyslexia. And it was a very difficult thing to go through. I still knew I was a smart kid, but it was very difficult at that age being told that you're different, and it can be pretty devastating to feel like there's something wrong with you at such a young age and something you can't fix. And it really makes it difficult to do well in school, and you just can't help it but have a lot of self-esteem issues as a result of being labeled so young.
Well, I was reading your bio, and I can't believe what you have done in your young life. Just tell some of the things.
Well, I'd never wanted to go to school. I had such a bad experience with school when I was young. So I decided to try a bunch of other alternatives to education when I graduated. And I was able to do some pretty fun things. I found myself doing a lot of maintenance work and handyman work for a while. And eventually that kind of led me traveling a lot and going to different places to do work. And then I found myself actually in Alaska, where I became a kayaking guide of all things and cooking at a restaurant. And it was a really great experience. It really got me away from my hometown and allowed me to really gain perspective on myself and see where my life was headed, kind of.
How did your parents feel about that when you left?
I think they were actually extremely happy for me. They were happy to see that I was really trying new things and not afraid to go and explore the world and see what I was capable of.
But then you got into geography and map making. Tell about that.
Well, when I was in Alaska, I kind of realized where my life was going, and I was looking around at some of the other kayaking guides I was working with, and I was thinking, in 10 years, I don't think I'd like to still be here. We used to tell a joke about kayaking guides. We said, what's the difference between a kayaking guide and a large pepperoni pizza?
What?
Which is that a large pepperoni pizza can actually feed a family of 4. So I realized I wasn't really going to be making much money or making a life for myself, so I decided I would go back to school. And to do that was 2001. It was right around 9/11. And I had chosen to go back to school to study firefighting. So I did. I became a volunteer firefighter, and I received an associate's degree in firefighting. And that's what started to inspire me to kind of get involved with geography. As a firefighter way up in Northern California in Mount Shasta, there's a lot of forest firefighting. So we did a lot of map reading, a lot of using compasses, a lot of exploring the forest. And it really helped me see a passion for being outdoors and in the wild. And so I decided to continue studying geography. I was very fortunate to do well in school at that time in my life. I was about 22. And it was really quite a shock that I did well in school at all.
Why?
Well, I think that I was motivated, and that motivation to succeed in school made me go and seek out the help that I needed to succeed in school. So when I was younger, I was ashamed of being dyslexic.
What is dyslexic?
Dyslexia takes many forms. Dyslexia is a broad heading for various types of processing disorders. Some people have issues with reading. Some people have issues with math. Other people have issues with writing. And there's different terms for each of those. There's dysgraphia for writing. There's dysarrhythmia for math. And so mine was dyslexia having to do with reading. So even to this day, I actually read very slow. And if someone were to hand me a book, I'd prefer to be able to listen to the book as opposed to have to read it, because I can listen to audio at a much faster rate than I can read it in my head.
But so your dyslexia manifested just with reading.
Primarily with
Yeah.
reading. You know,
So
it's
that's
such-
not, why is that so bad?
Well, it's not so bad.
Well, yeah, I know, but I mean, everybody makes such a big deal out of
Sure.
dyslexia, all these terms.
Dyslexia, yes.
Yeah.
You know, the primary thing that I think is the biggest problem with learning disabilities, the biggest problem that students face with them, is having a label and being told
Yeah.
at a young age that you're different or you're broken or that there's something wrong with you. And what that really has to do with is it's just about a lack of public awareness and knowledge about what these disabilities are, what these differences are. And when we say Voices, when the students go and speak to the public, that's their main message that they're trying to give, is that there is nothing wrong with being dyslexic. It's not saying that you're stupid or that you're broken or something like that. What they're trying to send the message is that it's just a difference. I may read slower, but as a result of my dyslexia, there are other things I'm also very good at. For example, the geography that I got into,
Yeah.
I found that I have a very good spatial awareness. So it helps me with making maps. It helps me with doing analysis of geographic
But I
data.
think, and I think what's so interesting is because, you know, I just met you a little while ago, and the first thing I said to you is, Eli, guess what? All these famous people have dyslexia.
Right.
And then tell what you said. I think it's so important.
Well, I sometimes have a pet peeve with that because I feel like holding up these very famous or very rich people as role models is somewhat unrealistic for the average kid. And the truth is, there's a lot of different types of success out there. And to tell a student that there's another dyslexic person, Richard Branson, who's a multimillionaire and started this company and that company, that's a very limited view of success and accomplishment.
Really?
And
excuse me. Really? Do you really mean that?
I do, because
Okay.
because most people aren't gonna be that very elite 1%. And so I think it's important to give people realistic role models. And even for myself, you know, I'm aware that I have a lot of great talents. I'm very happy with where I am in my life. And I don't feel like I need to compare myself to someone like Richard Branson or Charles Schwab or Albert Einstein. I can be happy with my level of success and my level of accomplishment.
Yeah. But who knows? You may get up there. You're such a baby. You're so young.
I've been working on this gravity thing, actually.
Really? Yeah. So go on with your life, please.
Sure. Well,
Okay.
when I decided to study firefighting and geography, and I was very fortunate to do well in school. And like I said, that was a result of me seeking the help and the accommodations which I needed, which for me helped me succeed in school and allowed me to transfer to UC Santa Barbara, which is where I was able to really start studying geography and gain the skills that I need in the work world. So I continue to study geography to this day. I actually was just recently admitted to a new college CSU East Bay here in Hayward, and I'll be studying to get a graduate degree in geography. I've had a number of jobs, and it's been a really gratifying career for me, actually. I've worked with Indian tribes, I've worked with fire departments, I've worked with police departments.
Tell about the Oakland Police
The
Department.
most recent job I was doing was working with the Oakland Police Department. As a geographer, they hired me to do crime analysis, making maps and showing patterns and trends spatially, using the tools that I learned how to use in school. It's been a really gratifying job and a lot of fun. And I hope to continue to do that. But on the side, I also do what we were talking about here with Safe Voices.
Safe Voices.
Yeah.
And then tell about your
Ed
T-shirt.
Rev? Sure. Well, Student Advisors for Education is a fantastic group. And I'm really tied because I have this passion of geography that I've always been doing, but as a volunteer and in all my spare time, I've been working with this student group. And the students, which some of them you know, who are here today in this
We have to talk
audience.
about Ted Milkey.
Yeah.
And Ted is the producer of this show, and I love the title. It's your
Different
title,
is Normal.
Different is Normal.
When he told me about this show, I was blown away. I think it's such a perfect title.
It's perfect.
Yeah, and it's a perfect title for the group that he's involved in. He's a major voice in the group. And one of the things that he's been a big part of is what this shirt is. In fact, we're both wearing this shirt today. It's EdRev, which stands for Education Revolution. And Education Revolution is this group of students has raised money through the help of Parents Education Network, which is a nonprofit, and they rented out the entire Giants ballpark, the AT&T Park, and they put a whole event on where they bring in speakers from across the country, and they have a whole bunch of vendors that come and solicit their various products and accommodations and services that they provide for students with learning disabilities. But it's a very empowering day, and it's really about people coming together and creating a community and really creating a movement. And the movement's what all these kids are really trying to do, which is their mission, which is to educate and to empower and to break the stigmas that other kids feel about that there's something wrong with them.
That's it. And kids are, they believe everything someone will tell them. And to get rid of that, to eliminate the bad feeling about oneself, especially a kid. I
Right.
mean, they're just so sensitive, right?
They are,
Yeah.
you know, and at a young age, you know, it's the last thing anybody wants is to be different. When you're in elementary school, you know, everybody wants to have the same backpack and the same clothes and the same lunch pail, and to be just told that you're going to be different no matter what you do, it can be pretty devastating. Even if no one treats you poorly, you in your own mind feel less about yourself.
Exactly, exactly. So what do you think, you need to raise money for your organization? How do you do that?
Well, it's endless. Raising money
Yeah,
for this
yeah.
organization is pretty endless.
Especially now.
Yeah, especially
Yeah,
now.
right,
It's a very
right,
tough
yeah.
time. The kids have a number of ways that they try to raise money. One way is, of course, our book here, Read This When You Can.
Yeah, tell about this book, okay?
Read This When You Can was written by the students that are in this group. It's a number of short stories that each student wrote, and they compiled the book. They wrote it with another nonprofit called 826 Valencia, which is in San Francisco, and they're a tutoring group, and they provide tutoring for underprivileged students throughout San Francisco. And they helped them write this book, and they put it together. And it's actually, this book is right now being used at Harvard University to teach graduate classes in education.
Okay. Where can we purchase that book?
Well, the best way to purchase it would be to go to our website, which is parentseducationnetwork.org.
Say it again, please.
Parentseducationnetwork.org.
So all together in lowercase?
Yes,
Yeah,
all together
okay.
in lowercase, no apostrophes or
nothing.
or hyphens or anything.
Okay. Do you want to spell it?
Sure, no, I don't want to spell it.
Okay,
I'm dyslexic,
okay.
remember?
Oh, that's right. That's right. I got you. I got you. Just reading, you said. See, I got you.
I could spell it for you better if I'd written it down.
Okay, that's okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to embarrass you.
No problem at all.
I just want to get it out, on the screen.
Yeah,
so.
Parents Education Network. It's a great nonprofit. It's throughout the entire Bay Area. If you just search for Parents Education Network, or PEN, which is the acronym for them,
okay.
you'll be able to find them. And they have a Facebook and a Twitter and a website.
And you can buy the book.
And the book is available there.
Okay.
And if you find the website, what you might prefer to do is to actually come to one of our events. The students that I work with do a number of public speaking events all over the Bay Area, from the East Bay to here in the South Bay, up into Marin. Almost once a month, we'll have about 5 or 6 students go and speak to either parents or teachers, other groups of students, educators, professionals, and they'll talk and they'll answer questions. They'll actually stand in front of the group and talk about some of their experiences, not in a negative way to say how hard it's been. They actually talk about the benefits that they've experienced and some of the things that they've done to succeed.
Like you. Truly. This is such a wonderful quote. And will you quote it? I read it in your bio.
In my bio.
About intelligence.
Well, yeah, I had heard this quote right. We had talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful quote that I had heard, which made a big deal to me, which was that success isn't determined by your IQ. That more often success is actually determined by your self-esteem. And
that's the number one thing for everybody.
For everyone.
How do we really get our self-esteem?
That's right. That's right, and that's what this group is about. Is we realize when we talk about.
How do you do that with the group?
Well, with the group, the main thing with the group is by being in a community of people with various ways of learning, with all these different experiences that they've had, they start to gain a perspective on themselves in education. They realize that we call it a learning disability because in school you need to have additional help to succeed. But outside of school, it's not a disability. In fact, it can really be a benefit in a lot of ways. So that's one of the main things the students see is through this community, they'll actually experience that it's not a disability. And that, of course, helps with their self-esteem. One thing I talk about with the kids when we talk about self-esteem is I tell them that self-esteem is like poker chips. And when it comes to taking a risk or making a bet, if you will, the more poker chips you have, the more you're going to be willing to risk. And so a lot of my kids think about that. I call them my kids. A lot of the kids I work with think about this quote, and I've heard them use it themselves a number of times. And it helps them to kind of start to get a perspective on what it means to take risks, what it means to put themselves out there and to talk about their experience, to talk about their learning disability, and to ask for help when they need it.
Because to ask for help makes one so vulnerable. But that's the only way you're going to get ahead a little bit, or you're going to get help.
Yeah.
So you emphasize that with the kids?
We definitely emphasize that.
Yeah.
The kids themselves are the ones that run this group, and that's the greatest thing about this group is I'm there as a facilitator, and I help to encourage them to communicate, and I help to try to keep the conversation going. But really, the kids do everything, and it's really amazing to just sit in this room with a group of 30 or 40 kids and just hear the things that they decide to start talking about, the experiences they start sharing, and the stories they start telling. It's really powerful.
That is so healing, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. I wish we could have a group of them here today.
I wish so too.
Yeah.
Well, in the past, I have interviewed several of the kids, and I'm always really, I love to do it, and I'm so impressed with their ability and their passion about what they're doing. To make oneself passionate, boy, isn't that the way it is? I mean, with everything.
Right, and that's the thing that I noticed. When I was in college, I first started getting involved with this movement of learning disability advocacy work, and people used to like to hear me talk, and I'd get to go up on stage and do the speaking, and so it's been a little tough to adjust to now being the one that's encouraging other people to go talk. But when I do go to their events and help them prepare for their events and to see the impact that they have and to hear the audience give us feedback about just listening to the kids, the passion that the kids have, the emotion in their stories, the validity of their stories.
Do you have any particular story that you could tell us about, Eli, with the kids?
Oh,
I mean, something, really dramatic.
Well, the one thing that's really powerful is that the students all share a lot of common experiences. And that's what's so important about this community, is without a community, without these kids getting together and talking, they wouldn't even know that they share these experiences. For example, any learning disabled student that I would meet, I could talk to them about circle time or the reading circle, and they'll all know exactly what I'm talking about. And what happened in the reading circle is they would come to me, they'd tap me on the shoulder, and they'd say, Eli, it's time to do class reading. Would you go sit over there in the corner with the other 3 students that don't read so well, and we're going to give you guys a different book, and you guys can practice reading that book. Well, that was like being sent to the special education corner of the classroom. And we knew very well what that meant. They basically made us feel stupid. And so all the kids experience this. It's very common for any kid to be asked to get up and leave the classroom to go to a special classroom. And that's a very, very damaging experience for a lot of young kids, especially when nobody's there to provide you with any support to tell you that, you know, you're not disabled in a negative way, that it's not something broken or wrong with you, that it's just a different type of learning. I have some friends that are right now actually learning to become teachers, studying to become teachers, and I'll have conversations with them, and they'll tell me about kids that'll break down crying, elementary school kids, because they just found out they have to go do the reading circle. And what I tell them to tell these kids is that some people are great, fast readers, and they learn how to read really quickly. Other people are really great at math, and they learn how to do math really quickly. Everybody has a skill and a talent. Doesn't matter who you are. There's something you can do better than somebody else. And as long as that you can get kids to see that, helps them get a little bit of context on the experiences they're having in school. Sure, they may not be the fastest reader. They may not be at the same level as everybody else. But there's definitely something that kid can do that everybody else in that classroom can't do.
It sounds to me like you really enjoy teaching.
I do.
And why? Why do you?
Why do I enjoy teaching?
Yeah.
You know, I think it just has to do with helping people. I think that, you know, helping people, and one point in my life I realized that once you've learned anything, really the next step is to share it. When you have an experience, a powerful experience in your own life, a breakthrough or an epiphany, the next thing you really want to do is to help other people experience that too.
Do you see yourself, say, in the next 5 years doing what you're doing with the kids? Say, for example, the kids.
I do. I do think so.
Yeah.
But in 10 years, I'd like to think that what I'm doing won't be necessary.
Are you kidding?
I'd like to think that we're spreading enough consciousness and awareness about learning disabilities. And let's just stop using the term learning disability now.
Yeah.
Let's just call it learning variability. And there'll be enough consciousness about the way people learn and the way people think that we won't have disabilities anymore. They'll reform education to the point where everyone will get an equal opportunity to assess the material. So hopefully in 10 years, there won't be a need for it.
But I think in the interim, you should definitely not only be teaching kids, but, you know, upcoming facilitators.
That's right.
Really, I think that would be absolutely paramount for you.
I think you're
I
right.
mean, that's just my opinion.
It's true. That is the main thing. Is right now we have a relatively small group. We only reach a little over 100 kids that have participated in the program over several years, and part of the problem is encouraging kids to come. When you tell kids, oh, there's a group of students and they meet on the weekends once a month, you know, come on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m., kids don't want to come. So we're finding ways by having the kids take a lead in this organization to encourage more people to come. And in fact, this year, we've started to expand. We'll be starting a new group of Safe Voices in Palo Alto this year.
Excellent.
So that will be the second chapter, if you will, of Safe Voices. And after that, we hope to start one in Marin, maybe one in the East Bay in Berkeley or in Oakland. What will happen is the kids that are in the current group will come down here and teach a group of kids down here how to create their own advocacy group, how to create their own community, and how to create their own structure of support, how to go out and continue the mission of Safe Voices, which is to go out and educate and empower other people.
I have a final question. This is my latest question. My question used to be, I've interviewed a lot of artists. I say, what is your creative process? But now I have a different question.
Uh-oh.
And that is, in your memoir, if you were writing a memoir, what would be the most important thing in your memoir that you would like to express?
I think the most important thing that I've learned is to always have the courage to try something new and to try again if you fail. And that's a message that I've given a number of times to kids, is that just because you don't succeed, try again.
And we only learn from our mistakes.
That's true.
I mean, nobody is perfect, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Well, I have to tell you, Eli, it has been such a pleasure to get to know you and to interview you.
Thank you.
You really are a very, very special person. You're very cute, too. See, I'm an old lady, so I can say
You can
that
say
now. I can flirt all I want, right? Not that it's going to do me any good. But I wish you only the best.
Thank you.
And I hope you'll keep in touch
I
with
will.
us. And, Ted Milkey he's also a fabulous young man.
He's
He
one of our
really-
stars.
He is. He's come a long way.
I said we get him up here next week.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I'm sure he would like to talk. He's a ham like the rest of us. And also, I would like to thank Ted Milkey and our crew because, we're all volunteers and we're all addicted to this television. And thank goodness. And of course, I want to thank our audience for watching because what would we do without you all? And furthermore, I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye. You were wonderful.
Thank you.
8, 9, 10.
Come on, let's start it again.
Come and count to 10 because it's something you must know. You can practice with your fingers. You can practice with your toes. It'll help you with your math. It'll help you understand. Let's practice with your fingers. Come on now, let's begin. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Come on, let's do it again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Come on, let's start it again.
Come and count to 10 because it's something you must know. You can practice with your fingers, you can practice with your toes. It will help you with your math and it will help you understand. Let's practice with your fingers. Come on now, let's begin. Come and count to 10 because it's something you must know. You can practice with your fingers, you can practice with your toes. It'll help you with your math, it'll help you understand. Let's practice with your fingers. Come on now, let's begin. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Come on, let's do it again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Come on, let's start it again.
Come and count to 10 because it's something you must know. You can practice with your fingers.